And battles are never won alone. They are won together. Because together is stronger. Tied tight, united we stand. In honor of one child's wish. And inspired by the fire in his fight. Join the kingdom.
Hey everyone, my name is Ryland and welcome to the Season 1 finale of the KingJay podcast. Now, before we get into anything, I just want to let you guys know that this is going to be the last episode, and as of right now, it's looking like we're going to get the first episode of Season 2 out on July 24th. We got a special event lined up for, that time span, that week, whatever you want to call it. As of right now, it's looking like July 24th, but I don't want to kind of explain exactly what's going on yet until everything's confirmed, but just thought I'd like to let you guys know without, not just kind of going on without any notice or anything. So with that being said, getting into it, just going to be just like all the other episodes, kind of just starting where we left off. And I think, after, graduating and having COVID come in and everything, I think the biggest helper, however you want to call it, that the whole situation, having to lose my brother and everything, I think the one way that it helped me through, the beginning of the whole COVID stuff is, once, everything shut down and there wasn't as much to do, it kind of having to go through a situation like that, you got to learn to adapt and change. And I think that was something where, it forced me to kind of look for something new and, kind of opened my eyes up to, I was 17, just, turning 18 that August. So right about, being able to kind of individually start to invest in everything. It kind of got my brain thinking on that and, getting into, real estate in the stock market and, true investing, not just gambling and just chucking your money into whatever looks good. It kind of helped me learn, all the metrics and everything, and almost, I guess you could say, turned me into a bit of a nerd into it all. It's something that, I got for only being 18 right now, I got a big passion for it. Sometimes when I'm bored, I'll even just go and, scroll through the MLS and just kind of run numbers on different properties, or even just go through a few websites where you can kind of find particular individual stocks that may interest you, and start looking over the numbers and everything in the management. And it's kind of something that, having to look for something to do during those times, it really helped me kind of learn about it and grow through it. So being able to come into it with more of an open mind, it's something that, through that whole situation, it definitely helped in that area. But kind of, through the summer going into the fall, it was something that, I ended up heading out to Red Lake, Ontario for that hockey season. And, just a small town out in the boonies, out in the bush, you don't really know what to expect. But going into it, normally with small towns, you rather hear really good things or not so good things. So I wasn't too sure what to expect, but, once I got there and moved in with my billets, like I said in Hinton, I had really amazing billets. And, once again, out in Red Lake, I had really amazing billets. It was a bit of a funny story. So their house, having 3 kids, it was pretty similar to, my house back in the day, with 4 kids all in sports and everything, just absolute chaos all the time. And right away, kind of the first few days, there's yelling and screaming and everything right away. And I honestly absolutely loved it the whole time. It brought back some good memories, and I was 100% used to it. So it made me feel like I was right at home. And I remember talking to the billet coordinator out there, and she asked me, how I liked the chaos and everything. And I said that, it felt like I was right at home. It was, kind of a perfect fit. It brought me right back to all those memories back in the day when our house was just screaming and yelling and chaos, and, back to, when my brother was still around and everything. So it was something that I absolutely loved. It was, amazing billets. So with that aspect, absolutely no complaints at all. And, even going into a small town, it's something that it kind of gives you a different perspective on, different ways of how different people live. It's, even though we're, still in the same country, small town out in the bush, kind of just different things to do and like different hobbies more so. There's a lot more hunting and fishing. Of course, there's tons out here in Alberta, but out there, that's pretty much all that there is to do a good portion of the time. So tons of that really gives you a different outlook on how different people live, even, slight difference in food and everything. So something that really just gives you, as small the change as it is, it kind of gives you, it helps you mature in a way and see the world kind of more open-minded. So that's why, just something that's really great to see, something new, something different. It's always nice to see. So moving all the way up to, basically after that season, coming right up till today, that season ended up getting cut short out in January. So because of COVID. So, once again, it forces you to find something to do and everything. So, just kind of getting to work, just working all the time. And I think the biggest thing was, kind of once the season got cut off and everything, that was really when the idea of the whole podcast really came about for me. It's something that I kind of realized, I think about my brother all the time. It's almost a nonstop thing. It's always, just helping me to keep pushing through and, keep motivating myself and all that. So I figured, since, it's something that I'm always thinking about and that I'm comfortable to talk about, why not start this podcast? And, those was just, a couple months afterwards that, I really started to get rolling on it, and something that, we're all the way up to finishing the first season today. So it's something that, it's really, if you look over the whole process from, all the way when I was back in Hinton and kind of really getting the first time when I really explained my whole story in one kind of setting, with my billet mom that one night, it was all the way up till today. You can kind of, I know personally for me, as you gotta, as you continue to learn and adapt how to go through a process like this, it's something that when you look back on it, you can kind of see how you've changed as a person and everything. So, getting this podcast going with, just being able to hopefully help just even one person, that's the ultimate goal through this all. But, just being, going and having to watch someone, especially your brother, go through something like that, it forces you to, I know at least for myself, it forces me to always kind of want to better myself, and kind of I'm never really able to be satisfied with, the work I've done, because I know that you can always do more. So as much as a difference and as much as it means for me to, even just help one person, my goal is to be able to help as many as I can and kind of help people realize who have to go through such a terrible situation like this, even just something somewhat similar, just to be able to help them kind of realize that their personal situation, it's different from everyone else's. I know it's something that I've kind of talked about quite a bit in the recent episodes, but just having to realize that not everyone's situation is the same. And I think from what I've been told, another reason why I thought I'd start this podcast was how I've been told how my kind of outlook on it all, it tends to be a little bit different from most people. And I figured, like I said, everyone's different. So maybe if something's not working for someone and I'm able to offer a different outlook on it all, maybe that's what works for them. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe a small portion of it works for them and it's able to help them keep pushing through. So I think the biggest thing for me was just slowly, taking my time through it all and learning how to use it in a healthy and positive way, using it just kind of, through the galas and the events and talking to other families with it, and kind of, talking, using this podcast to kind of reach out to people, share each other's stories to help each other. And kind of, just realizing that the the hardest thing through it all is knowing that there's nothing you can do to bring your loved ones back as much as you want to, but you got no choice but to kind of keep moving on. You can't go back in time. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. And I think in situations like this, it's hard to kind of move on from it all, or not so move on, but kind of continue on through life. But you have to. You got no choice. I know it forces you to. I believe I said this in one of the first few episodes, but you got two choices when something like this happens. You can take the easy way and just kind of let it eat you up, let it eventually kill you, just let you kind of bum you out, just do nothing about it, just sit at home and, oh, poor me, or you can use it as motivation to create, greater and better life for yourself. Of course, life would be so much better with them around, but like I said, you can't bring them back. So you just got to keep pushing through, learning, you got to learn what works for you, what doesn't, and, just keep doing what works. So be able to truly grow and mature. I think looking back, over the few years, kind of, I've talked with my dad about this a few times, but I've said, in a way, as much as, I don't like saying it because it's not true, but, having to go through that situation at, 15, it's kind of the best, but the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It's the best thing because it forced me to mature pretty quick, but, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me because having to lose your brother, having to watch him go through that pain for 2 years, having to watch him die over the course of 2 years, it's the worst thing that you'll ever have to go through. But also at the same time, I've kind of learned that through the whole situation, there's a positive in every situation. So as terrible as the situation is, as much as you'd give anything just to see him one more time, you can't. So you just gotta pull out the positives from it and kind of realizing that, okay, I've already gone through the worst thing that'll ever happen in my life. So when something bad happens, later on, you kind of instantly realize that this is nothing compared to what I've previously gone through. So it just makes life so much easier moving forward. Of course you carry all that sadness and, in a way kind of an emptiness, like something's missing with you all the time. But you also realize that, it helps you in a way in life, as kind of cold-hearted as that sounds. I hate to say it, but in a way it's true. It helps you, just keep pushing through, and it's, you always got motivation no matter what's happening. You just think back on those memories and boom, it just fires you right up. I know, before hockey games, it's something I think about all the time. I choose to think about those hard moments. It fires me up. It gets me going. At the gym, same thing. I actually listen. I don't listen to music at the gym. I listen to podcasts during the gym, and then once I start going, I kind of put it on pause. I put whatever I'm listening to on pause, and then I just think of those moments, while I'm going, and then once I'm done, I put whatever show I'm listening to back on, and in between sets. So it's something that that's what works for me. Maybe that's something that'll help someone else out. I kind of figure if I don't need the music to fire me up, I got my own thing that gets me going, that fires me up. Why I can also try and maybe learn a thing or two through podcast, whether it's through real estate or stock market or crypto, whatever it may be. So it's something that I've recently kind of started to do over the past probably 6 months. No longer use music, just straight kind of just remembering those memories. And I think it's also in a way therapeutic for myself, because it forces me to think of those. It forces me to look back on them and remember them, and not just shove them out under the rug and kind of just sit there and let it all build up. It kind of gives me a place to kind of take it all out, before a game. It kind of, lets me take it all out and fire me up. Or, same thing with the gym. It kind of it helps you in a way, not only in whatever you're doing at that time, but also, mentally and emotionally, throughout the rest of your day. And especially, I know some mornings for me, kind of as soon as I wake up, the first thing I'll think about is, tough memory. But as bad of a way it is to start your day, to think about such a terrible situation like that, there's nothing else that's going to be worse for you throughout the rest of that day, because you already thought about, such a terrible, tough moment from your life. And it forces you to get out of bed pretty quick. You won't go to sleep after, thinking about something like that. So kind of, that's something that works for me. I've told a few people that before, and they've kind of told me I'm crazy and chaotic for it, but that's what works for me. That's kind of another area that, I know some people, they want to get going in the morning more. They don't want to kind of sleep in as much. Maybe try, thinking about a tough situation back in your life, or a tough memory for yourself first thing when you wake up. Have something that reminds you of that. And I know for me, it helps me get going in the morning for sure. So maybe that's something that'll work for you guys, if you're listening, or just being open to try new things. Of course, maybe it won't work. I have a feeling like for a lot of people it's not going to, but I know for me it works. So I'm sure there's got to be someone else out there who, remembering those tough situations on a daily basis all the time, it'll help you. So I think the biggest thing, especially throughout this whole podcast, that I've learned even in just the past few weeks that I've been doing this, is you just gotta be willing to talk about it, as tough as it is. I know for myself, it kind of, and my family as well, we personally didn't do any grief counseling or anything. That doesn't mean that we're against it or nothing. It was kind of just, we've talked about it tons of times, and you mean to go do it, but then life, you just get going away with life and gets all busy and everything, then you just forget about it. And so I know for me, in a way, that personally helped, not having to go through that, because it forced me to learn how to do it on myself. And I feel like, of course, it was tougher for, to not kind of have anyone there to kind of help you out. Of course, I had family and friends, but in a way, having a professional on your side, of course, it's a ton of help. But learning how to do it, learning how to go through the whole situation and the grieving process by myself, it was something that without a doubt has definitely benefited me. It was, it, like I said before, many times, it forced me to mature pretty quick. It forced me to realize what's more important in life and everything. So, and what's kind of, what's going to be important later on, not just kind of what matters now. Makes you think more of different situations about the future as well, not just kind of living day by day. There's some situations where, of course, you want to live like that, but overall, I think you got to think of, as much as you want to think of the micro, you got to think of the macro as well. So that was, of course, I personally wouldn't recommend that. I think it's important to go through grief counseling and everything. It's without a doubt beneficial, but especially once you find the right one. But for me, it's just kind of one of those things where I was able to fortunately learn how to do it learn how to go through the situation through myself, and learn how to adapt to it, and learn how to use such a tragic situation in a healthy and positive way moving forward with it, and kind of carrying it with me, kind of through my day-to-day life. So I think with that being said, that's going to wrap up, this last episode for season 1 of the KingJay podcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast so far, the first season, and I hope you guys tune in for the upcoming season. So far, it's looking like I said, July 24th. So I hope you guys tune in. Very much for tuning in to today's episode on the KingJay podcast. Whether you're listening on your favorite podcast app or watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and family, as our goal is to grow this as big as possible, so we're able to reach this podcast to as many people as possible who are potentially looking for some guidance through a tough time in their lives, and be able to help fund future wishes for other kids in need, and just be able to make as big of an impact as possible. Thank you.
Join the kingdom